Can you guys hear me? Okay, now you can hear me just as soon as I put it in there. Okay, never mind. Hi, welcome in. Sorry about that, guys. I had unplugged my mic because I had an appointment today and I didn't want the doctor to have to see like all of my equipment. Like, why do you have that microphone? But welcome into the channel. If you're new here, hi, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back to the channel, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in today. I know it's a little a spur of the moment. I wish I could turn my camera on right now. I should turn it on so I can show you my dog. She's laying in the hallway because she won't sit in the bed. They're big babies over here. So I am this is going to be a hard one. This is going to be a hard day, everybody, because Chad Doerman has pled out. He will not be receiving the DP. It's off the table. He literally did a surprise hearing today. I would have been there if I would have known, but it was a damn surprise. I am so mad because I had planned on going to at least opening statements of his trial because it's only an hour away from me. Like I had just talked to Vincent about this the other day. Because I was like, it's coming up, it's coming up. Well, Chad Doerman, I guess apparently he went ahead and pled out. I have it, I believe this is the whole hearing because it says, I put in live, so hopefully this is the whole hearing. But before we get to that, if you guys don't know about Chad Doerman and what we're talking about, I'm going to go over to Wiki because the bill of particulars that I have is so redacted. It's kind of like hard to read. So we'll just read through Wiki because they did get it right. I read through it earlier. So if you're unfamiliar with what happened, Chad Doerman on June 15th, 2023, which was the day, I believe, after Father's Day or the day before, returned home early from work and requested that his 3 sons and his wife join him in the primary bedroom for a nap. Sometime after they laid down on the bed, Doerman opened his gun safe and retrieved a Marlin Model 22 rifle. Doerman then shot Hunter, which is his son. Let me actually go back up here so I can give you the names. Clayton, Chase, and Hunter. And they're 7, 4, and 3. So Doerman shot Hunter twice, killing him. So he was in the bedroom. The wife began trying to help Hunter while telling the other 2 sons to run. At this point, the stepdaughter, who was watching television, was entering the bedroom and witnessed the first shots. She ran after Clayton, telling him to keep running. Doerman chased him into a nearby field, shot him from behind, and then point blank in the head. The suspect carried Clayton's body back to the house's yard. The stepdaughter then re-entered the house, picked up Chase, and escaped onto the road. Doerman followed her and aimed the rifle at her, telling her to put Chase down. He tried to fire, but was out of ammunition. Chase ran to his mother, who was now outside in the yard trying to render aid to Clayton. The stepdaughter got away and informed a passerby what her stepfather was doing before continuing to run towards the nearby Monroe Township Fire Department. And she literally screamed to this lady, "He's killing everyone." Doerman then went inside and carried Hunter's body outside, laying him in the yard. He then tried to wrestle Chase from his wife, repeatedly biting her in the process. When she managed to grab the rifle, Doerman fired, shooting his wife in the thumb. She dropped Chase, who Doerman then shot in the head. Doerman then laid Chase's body down next to his brother's and sat on the side stoop of the house, watching his wife try to resuscitate the boys until police arrived at 4:25 p.m. Upon their arrival, they instructed him to show his hands and walk towards him, but Doerman disobeyed and remained sitting. Subsequently, officers approached him and took him into custody at 4:27 p.m. And I did have the FOIA for this, so we watched all the videos of him going into the jail. We went through all the documents in this case. We've done it all. So if you are interested in this case, make sure that you check out that playlist. I can't believe that this is actually happening today, that they're doing a plea. So how long is this? We'll read through this. It's kind of long. It's not too long. Okay, so we'll read through this and then we'll watch the video of him in court today. Surprise hearing. I'm so upset that they had a surprise hearing. I wish they would have told us. So the Claremont County father accused of executing his 3 young sons last year pled guilty Friday afternoon. It has been nearly 14 months since Clayton 7, Hunter 4, and 3-year-old Chase were found gunned down in the front yard of their home while Chad Doerman sat quietly on the porch with a rifle by his side. During a plea hearing Friday in Claremont County Common Pleas Court before Judge Richard France, which is still underway as of 2:20 p.m., Doerman, 33, agreed to plead guilty to 3 counts of aggravated M. I think he was charged with like 16 counts of it. France added that the prosecution have dismissed the aggravated circumstances that made the case a DP case. Doerman also pled guilty to 2 counts of felonious assault for the actions against his wife and stepdaughter on the day of the killings. As part of the plea agreement, Doerman will serve 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. It is unmistakably clear that you will spend the rest of your life in prison, Franks told Doerman in court Friday. There is no early release date for you. Additionally, 2 felonious assault charges carrying a 16-year minimum sentence will be served consecutively to the life sentences. The plea brings the end to a case that was not expected to go to trial until 2025 due to multiple delays. Doerman had been held at the Claremont County Jail since his arrest last June. Once convicted and sentenced to prison term, he would be transferred to a state prison typically within a few days. Now, I'm wondering if he pled out because he didn't want the death penalty first, foremost. And secondly, I wonder if he was ready just to go to prison. You get a lot more accommodations when you're in prison. It's just, I've heard it's a lot easier than jail in some ways because you just get more, items like through commissary. I think you get more visiting time and things of that nature. Hey, Heatherlicious, welcome in, everybody. Did I ever say hi to you guys? I don't even know if I said hi to everybody. Hello, everybody. It's so weird not seeing you green, Ashley. I gotta get you green again. Oh, Mary Beth, I know you're at work. They gave him 25 years. That's all? That's all, Groovy Nikki? I bet you something happens to him in that jail, so. Hey, Susan. Hey, Karen. It's good to see ya. One on one other page reading. I can't see what's going on in the chat very well. We could read through this. This just tells what happened again, but on June 15th, 2023. Oh, thank you, Jan, for gifting a membership. It's good to see you, Jan. It's so good to see ya. I hope it's that Judy Holiday. I was like, who even got a gift in a membership? I couldn't see it for a minute. I need to gift out some too. On June 15, 2023, Doerman was at home with his wife and sons when he started pacing around the house carrying a Bible, mumbling, "Chad knows what's right." It was a warm Thursday afternoon. The boys had baseball practice the night before. Their bikes and toys sat in the yard of the single-story home on Laurel Lindell Lane Road in Monroe Township. He then began to get into his gun safe, which was located in the master bedroom, court filings state. His wife noticed the behavior and told Doerman he was scaring her. Doerman told her he was just kidding and playing around and decided to lie down. His wife did not want him alone, so she and her sons went into the bedroom with him. At some point, Doerman got back out of bed and got his .22 caliber Marlin rifle out of the gun safe and shot one of his sons twice. His wife immediately called 911 while screaming for her other children to run. Doerman chased one of the boys into a field behind the house and shot him as he fled, then again at close range after the boy fell. The boy's sister picked up her last surviving brother and ran with him towards a nearby firehouse, but Doerman caught up with her and at gunpoint demanded she put the boy down. Once she put the child down, she begged the defendant not to shoot her, the document states. She witnessed the defendant attempt to shoot the boy. However, the gun misfired and he fled to his mother. The boy's sister kept running towards the fire station, telling a passerby that her father was killing everyone. Doerman went to the last boy and shot him. The mother suffered a gunshot wound to her hand trying to protect the boys. The document asked, after the boys were dead, Doerman picked them up and laid their bodies next to each other in the yard. And then this is about the rest. I think we read through all this. Look at that picture of him, crybaby. The confession was even thrown out. That's why I'm surprised he took a deal. But we'll go over and watch the court proceeding. I think this will be good. And this should be all of it.
questions to Mr. Colby and to you. And that's no slight to anyone else. That's just easier. All right.
Interrupt. It just occurred to me that the defense would like to acknowledge and agree that before we went on record for this hearing at, I believe, 1:15 this afternoon, the state caused me filed an entry signed by this court.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Want to acknowledge jurisdiction.
No, that's on my checklist.
All right.
The second item is Mr. Doerman is going to be entering a plea of guilty to 3 counts of aggravated murder. And there were aggravating circumstances returned on all of those, which obviously made him eligible for the death penalty. The state, as part of the plea agreement, which will be discussed shortly, has dismissed those 9, all the aggravated circumstances in each of the 9 aggravated murder counts. So those aggravated circumstances have been dismissed. That entry has been filed with the clerk and there's a record. So consequently, this is no longer considered a capital case. And Mr. Colby, that's your understanding, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and Mr. Myers, that's your understanding as well?
Yes.
And the reason we put that on the record is because in all other proceedings, when this was a capital case, there was a court reporter physically present taking notes, which is required, or transcribing the events, which is required. And because this is no longer a capital case, the court reporter is not present. Obviously, it's being recorded. All these microphones pick up the sound, but that's the reason why we have made that part of the record. And then the other piece of this is, given the nature of the offenses that Mr. Doerman will be entering a plea to, normally he would be required to register as a violent offender. Again, as we'll work through this, the violent offender registration is inapplicable. And rather than read something that is essentially a vain act, similar to Reagan Tokes, to read that's a vain act because it doesn't apply, both state and the defense are waiving any necessity for me reviewing the violent offender registration requirements. And Mr. Colby, correct?
That is correct, Judge.
And Mr. Myers, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. So we're going to start this plea process. It's a lengthy process. It's important to know that I don't want any people leaving in and out of the courtroom. You're here, you're here. If you leave, I prefer you don't come back because it's disruptive. And I prefer not to have disruptions for obvious reasons. It's a very serious process and we need to get through this effectively and efficiently. This is not a race, but it's much better if there's just no in and out of the courtroom, except for the fact that the victims will be brought in at some point in time. They're not here now. And so I'll go ahead and then get started with this. And again, I've acknowledged counsel and the parties, and we have, and I also know that the victims have been notified of this hearing, and they are present. I've already discussed the requirements of the media regarding photographing the victims when they are here. And the 2 victims that will be here, at least at this point, will be Laura Doerman and Alexis Skeen, Mr. Doerman's former wife and stepdaughter. And those are the only 2 that will be here. And obviously that prohibition of recording in any fashion will apply to them. And initially, Mr. Colby, if you would if you would state on the record the nature of the plea agreement that has been entered into in this matter.
Yes, thank you, Judge. It is an agreement, Your Honor, between the state and the defense. The defendant will enter a guilty plea to count 1, aggravated murder. That involves the killing of Clayton. The defendant will enter a guilty plea to count 2, aggravated murder. That involves the killing of Hunter. Guilty plea to count 3, aggravated murder involving the killing of Chase. We'll also enter guilty pleas to counts 18 felonious assault. That involves the actions he took against Alexis Steen, and he will enter a guilty plea to count 20, felonious assault, for the actions he took against Laura Doerman. The additional recommendation, Your Honor, is that count 1 will be life without parole, consecutive to count 2, which will be life without parole, consecutive to count 3, which will be life without parole, consecutive to count 18, which will be 8 to 12.
Sorry, guys. I always got so excited I saw Isabel, and I clicked out of the hearing.
Consecutive to count 20,
Isabel.
which is 12 years in prison.
Well, and just to correct, the Reagan-Tokes piece of this is complex, and that the actual sentence for count 18 and count 19 would be an 8-year minimum sentence on each, served consecutive, or 8 rather, an 8-year minimum sentence served consecutively with one another for a 16-year minimum prison term. And then under Reagan-Tokes, I'm required to take 50% of the most serious felony offense, which would be 18 or 20, doesn't matter, which is 4. Add that to the minimum. So the actual sentence, that if it was just Reagan-Tokes
He said don't matter because that guy's going to go in prison for the rest of his life anyway. You want 16 years or 20 years? I don't care. You're going to prison for the rest of your life.
only, would have been 16 to 20 years, and obviously served consecutively with counts 1, 2, and 3. Correct? And Mr. Myers, that's your understanding as well?
Yes, that's our understanding and our total agreement, that I think the court has just now adequately, along with the state's counsel, summarized Reagan-Tokes as it really doesn't apply here.
Yeah, and I'll go through that through the plea because I have to, but nevertheless, we're all on board with that. And I know, Mr. Colby, you have discussed this fully with the victims in this case, and they're on board with this. They're in agreement with the plea agreement, with the agreed prison sentence, and they're also willing to go forward today with sentencing without the necessity of presenting a victim impact statement, which would normally be presented through a pre-sentence report. We'll address that momentarily as well, but that's correct.
That's all I have, Judge. Yes.
And this is obviously the best plea bargain that has been or will be presented to Mr. Doerman.
Correct.
All right. And that's your understanding as well, Mr. Myers.
It is, Your Honor.
All right. And as I've indicated, it is also the dismissal of the aggravating circumstances has been filed. So those are, as they say, off the table. And Mr. Doerman is not eligible for the death penalty. We discussed the aspect of the no longer the necessity of having a court reporter physically present in the.
If there's ever been a case in the state of Ohio, this case and what's his face, Castro, the guy that kidnapped the girls and had them locked up for 10 years. Those two people, they deserve the DP. There are some people out there, I'm sorry, but they deserve it. Even if they don't ever get injected or whatever, they deserve to be by themselves in isolation 23 hours a day by themselves.
In this process.
I don't even care about that. I'm alive and part.
Myers, we also discussed that as a result of the plea agreement, you will be, on behalf of Mr. Doerman, withdrawing his written plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. And you'll also be withdrawing the motion that was filed to be heard Monday regarding the serious mental illness factor under 29025. Is that correct?
It is correct on both issues, Judge.
Okay, and I'm sure you've fully discussed that with Mr. Doerman, and he fully understands why that is being done.
I believe he does.
All right, thank you.
We have in fact discussed it.
I'm sorry?
And we have in fact discussed it with him.
Okay, I know. And I'm sure that you and Mr. Haynes have fully discussed the agreed prison sentence as well as the agreed prison sentence with Mr. Doerman, and he is in full agreement with proceeding today as outlined by the state, and of course your concurrence in the plea agreement and the agreed sentence.
That is correct, with
All right.
sentence to be imposed today.
All right, and we'll go through that as well. And Mr. Doerman, prior to this agreement being made, did Mr. Myers and Mr. Haynes fully review with you all the evidence that had been presented to you or to them, discussed with you all the possible defenses you may have to these charges, reviewed with you, explained the trial process for a death penalty case and the sentencing aspects of that, and did they answer all your questions regarding those matters sufficiently for you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And your voice is strong enough, just keep it up. That's going to, we're obviously making recordings, so just make sure you keep your voice up. And before I ask you any questions going forward, I need to make sure that you have not taken anything, even prescription medication, that would interfere with your ability to understand and comprehend what you are doing this afternoon. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're clear-minded this afternoon?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. And Mr. Myers, I know the two of you have met with him and discussed this matter with him. Obviously, you've had a number of contacts with him, obviously, but are you satisfied that with your discussions with him today and this afternoon that there's every indication that he's fully aware of what he's doing, not impaired in any way as far as being able to understand what he's doing and comprehend the process that we're about to engage?
Yes, Your Honor, that is my understanding, and I'm sure Mr. Haynes joins in that judgment as well.
All right, Mr. Haynes is,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes is nodding yes. And Mr. Doerman, up to this point in time, have you been able to understand everything that has been discussed, both what I have stated, what the prosecutor stated, what your counsel has stated up to this point in time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And if at any time during this process, Mr. Doerman, you want to talk with your attorneys about anything, just let me know, and we'll make sure that you're able to do that privately and confidentially. And if you feel you need to take a break at any time during this process, again, let me know, and we can accommodate that as well. And candidly, if something comes up, counsel need a break, we can take that break as well. Like I said, this is not a race. We just need to pursue this appropriately. And Mr. Doerman, if at any time during the process I say something to you that you do not understand, or I ask you a question that you do not understand, please do not hesitate to ask me to state it again, rephrase it. And if you still don't understand, you can talk to your counsel about it. You understand that. I know you graduated from Amelia High School. You attended Claremont College for a short period of time. And I'm sure that you
That means nothing.
fully understand and comprehend the English language. Is that correct? Fair to say? All right. And it's very important, Mr. Doerman, for you to fully understand that the decisions you're making and the consequences of those decisions. And I must rely on your responses to my questions to determine that you do understand what you're doing here today, that you're entering your pleas knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily, and that if at any time there is a question, you need to let me know so I can clarify that. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you should not interpret anything that I say here today as any type of an indication that I think you should or should not plead guilty. I'm not trying to talk you into or out of anything today. The decision of whether to plead guilty or not to plead guilty is yours alone. You understand that?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to review the indictment with you initially prior to entering the plea agreement process so that there's a clear understanding of what you were originally facing. There's a total of 21 separate charges in the indictment. Counts 1 through 9 each allege aggravated murder as an unclassified felony, and each also allege 3 aggravating circumstances. There's 1 firearm specification as to the first 9 counts. There's also a firearm forfeiture specification as well. And if you have been convicted on any one or more of counts 1 through 9 and any one or more of the aggravated circumstances in each of these counts, you would possibly face the death penalty. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
The counts 10 through 17 each allege kidnapping, and each also allege one firearm specification and one firearm forfeiture specification. You understand that? Counts 18 through 21 allege felonious assault, and each also allege one firearm specification and one firearm forfeiture specification as well. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll now explain the charges that are part of the plea agreement. And this plea agreement is, as the prosecutor stated, you'll be entering a plea of guilty to count 1, aggravated murder as an unclassified felony. Count 2, aggravated murder as an unclassified felony. Count 3, aggravated murder as an unclassified felony. Count 18, felonious assault, a felony of the second degree. And count 20, felonious assault as a felony of the second degree. In exchange for your pleas of guilty to counts 1, 2, 3, 18, and 20, the state will dismiss all the, and actually have dismissed all the aggravating circumstances that would have made you eligible for the death penalty as to counts 1 through 9. All firearm specifications that were applicable as to counts, all 21 counts are being dismissed. You're going to agree to forfeit the firearm only. And then the state obviously then will be dismissing counts 4 through 9, the other aggravated murder counts, counts 10 through 17, the kidnapping charges, and counts 19 and 21, felonious assault charges. So with the dismissal of all the aggravating circumstances in counts 1 through 9, and in particular counts 1, 2, and 3, the counts you are entering your pleas to this afternoon have eliminated the potential for any death penalty. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
In addition to pleading guilty to counts 1, 2, and 3, you and the state are recommending what I refer to as a jointly recommended agreed sentence as to these 3 counts, and I'll discuss the other 2 momentarily. In each of these 3 counts, you agree that the court will impose today a sentence of life in prison without the chance of parole for count 1, the same sentence in count 2, and the same sentence in count 3. And all of these sentences will be served consecutively with one another. That may sound somewhat unusual because life without parole is life without parole. But essentially, they're being ordered to be served consecutively so that it is unmistakably clear that you will spend the rest of your life in prison with no chance for parole. So you understand those sentences and the consequences of those sentences.
Yes, sir.
Again, these will be served consecutively with one another. As to counts 18 and 20, they are second-degree felony offenses, and the jointly recommended agreed prison term as to each of these 2 counts is a minimum of 8 years on each count. Each minimum sentence will be served consecutively with one another, so I total those to arrive at a total minimum prison term of 16 years. Under the Reagan-Tokes Indefinite Sentencing Act, I'm required then to take 50% of only one of the most serious second-degree felony offenses, which would be 4 years. I then add that to the total minimum sentence to get to 20 years. So if this was a Reagan-Tokes sentencing only, the indefinite prison term you would serve is 16 to 20. Obviously, that 16 to 20 years it's going to be served consecutively as well, but it will be totally consumed, if you will, by the life without parole prison sentence, which is why we are eliminating any reference to potential early release date because it's a vain act. There is no early release date for you. You understand that?
Yes, Your
So you understand the sentences that are going to be imposed at this point in time as to counts 1, 2, and 3, and as to 18 and 20. And just so that there's no misunderstandings, no misconception of anything that I'm talking about today, I will impose the sentence I've just discussed with you today. And we will proceed with that sentencing, obviously, at the appropriate point in time. And other than what I've just explained to you in terms of the number of charges that you're in your pleas to, the agreed prison sentence that you're entering your pleas to, the dismissal of all the aggravating circumstances in counts 1 through 9, the dismissal of all the firearm specifications in all counts, and the agreed sentence, obviously, that I've just gone over with you. Has anyone else made any type of a promise to you whatsoever to have you enter into this plea agreement and these agreed sentences this afternoon?
No.
Okay. I mean, I promise that I will impose the sentence that I just described to you, but other than that promise, no one else has promised anything else to you to have you enter your pleas of guilty this afternoon.
No.
And before we start the actual plea process and the sentencing process, it's important that I advise you of the nature of the various charges that you're pleading guilty to and the potential penalties that you are exposed to, irrespective of the agreed sentence. In count 1, it is alleged that on or about June 15, 2023, in Claremont County, Ohio, you purposely and with prior calculation and design caused the death of Clayton Doerman. This is in violation of 290301 and is an unclassified felony. Do you understand the nature of count 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Count 2 alleges that on or about June 15, 2023, in Claremont County, Ohio, you purposely you did purposely and with prior calculation and design cause the death of Hunter Doerman in violation of 290301, and that is also an unclassified felony. You understand the nature of count 2.
Yes, Your Honor.
Count 3 is on or about June 15, 2023, again in Claremont County, Ohio. You did purposely and with prior calculation and design caused the death of, did I say Hunter was, Chase is count 3, Chase Norman, an unclassified felony. You understand the nature of count 3. Count 18 alleges that on or about June 15, 2023, in Claremont County, Ohio, you knowingly caused or attempted to cause physical harm to Alexis Skeen by means of a deadly weapon or dangerous ordinance, a firearm, in violation of 290311A2, a felony of the second degree. You understand the nature of count 18.
Yes, Your Honor.
Count 20 alleges that on or about June 15, 2023, in Claremont County, Ohio, you knowingly caused or attempted to cause physical harm to Laura Doerman by means of a deadly weapon or dangerous ordinance, again, a firearm, and that, again, is in violation of 290311A2. You understand the nature of count 20.
Yes, Your Honor.
The possible sentences for these various counts are as follows. As to counts 1, 2, and 3, those are all aggravated murder, all unclassified felonies. The possible sentences you could receive would be serving 20 years in prison before eligible for being for eligibility for parole, 25 years, a full 25 years in prison before eligibility for parole, 30 full years in prison before eligibility for parole, and then life in prison without the possibility of parole. You understand that? Yes. The maximum sentence I could impose, and as to count 1, would be life in prison without parole. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Count 2, life in prison without parole. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Count 3, life in prison without parole. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I can and will order all of those 3 sentences to be served consecutively with one another. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
As to counts 18 and 20, because they are felonies of the second degree, is a little more complicated to get to that, but you need to know what the penalties are and how we get there. Both of these, again, are felonies of the second degree. They carry a minimum prison term of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 years in prison. And there are 2 charges. They both carry that same minimum prison option. And what I have to do is select a minimum sentence for each of those counts. And because they're 2 separate victims, I can order them to be served consecutively with one another. And once I determine that they will be served consecutively with one another, which will happen today, once I have selected the minimum sentence, I add those together. I then take 50% of one of the most serious second degree felonies, add that to the minimum prison term total, and that's the indefinite prison sentence you could receive in this case. So as I'm going to impose an 8-year minimum sentence on each case, I'll total those together as they'll be served consecutively for a total of 16 minimum years in prison, a maximum prison term of 20 years. And again, those are going to be subsumed, if you will, by the indefinite or by the life in prison without the possibility of parole. But you understand how we get to that point.
Yes, Your Honor.
And as to each of the first degree, or as to each of counts 1, 2, and 3, I can impose a maximum prison or maximum fine of $25,000, totaling $75,000. I will not do that. As to counts 18 and 20, the maximum fine on each is $15,000, accumulated would be $30,000. I'm not imposing a fine in that case. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And as a result of your pleading guilty this afternoon, Mr. Doerman, you're waiving following constitutional rights. You're waiving your right to a jury trial. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're waiving your right of confrontation, which means if you had gone to any trial, your attorneys would have been able to question every witness under oath that came into court to testify against you. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are waiving your right of the compulsory process, which means if you had gone to any trial and you needed witnesses to help you defend yourself, I could have issued a subpoena, it's a court order. They would have been required to appear, even if they told you they did not want to be involved in your case. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are waiving your right to require the state of Ohio to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt as to all the essential elements of the charges I've just read to you, regardless of the trial you chose to pursue. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are waiving your right against self-incrimination by pleading guilty. Obviously, that's the most incriminating thing you could say. But had you gone to any trial, no one, not even this court, could have ordered you to take a seat in the witness chair and testify against yourself for any reason. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
By pleading guilty, you are surrendering the presumption of innocence that you have this afternoon. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
By pleading guilty, you'll be making a full and complete admission of your guilt to each of the 5 charges I've just explained to you. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll also be admitting the truth of the facts that the prosecutor is going to read shortly that would enable me to find you guilty and proceed with sentencing. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are also accepting the jointly recommended agreed prison term, and you're waiving your right to appeal the sentence that can be imposed in this case. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Throughout this process, you've been represented by Mr. Myers and Mr. Haynes. Have they fully explained all 21 charges to you? The aggravated circumstances that were involved with counts 1 through 9, the other specifications that were involved in all 21 counts. Have they done that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have they explained in particular the nature of counts 1, 2, 3, 18, and 20, as well as the possible penalties associated with those 5 charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have they also discussed with you and shown you all the evidence that the state has prepared and presented to them that would, in essence, support any finding of guilt in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have they fully discussed with you any and all possible defenses that you may have had in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sure they have also fully explained to you that by pleading guilty, you're withdrawing the not guilty by reason of insanity plea. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
They're also withdrawing the motion for the hearing on the serious mental illness that was scheduled for Monday, and you agree with that as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sure that they have fully explained all the constitutional rights that you've just waived. Is that correct?
Yep.
And they have also fully explained the jointly recommended agreed prison sentence that will be imposed this afternoon. Is that also correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
By accepting by accepting the jointly recommended agreed prison sentence, you're waiving any option that you have, or right you may have had, for a pre-sentence report through the Adult Probation Department. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're also waiving any right you may have had for an additional mental health evaluation through the probation department as part of the pre-sentence report, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have they answered all your questions? Oh, wait.
One moment, if I
Mhm.
may. Sometimes there's a flexibility between the date made on plea and the date you get sentence. And then the probation people themselves could get a mental health evaluation. We don't need it because we've got students on it. That doesn't, it'll still be given in the prison.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You didn't like that answer.
No, no. John, I think we've clarified that.
Okay, all right. Have they answered all your questions thoroughly? No. And at this point in time, are you satisfied that Mr. Myers and Mr. Haynes have effectively represented you up to this point in time as to each and every aspect of the case that has transpired up to this point in time? That includes all the evaluations you've had for not competency, but for the NGRI plea, the SMI portion of this. You're satisfied that they have fully, effectively represented you up to this point in time.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're obviously then satisfied with them as your attorneys.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then, as to count one, aggravated murder in violation of 290301A, an unclassified felony, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Count two, aggravated murder in violation of 290301A, an unclassified felony, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Count three, aggravated murder in violation of 290301A, an unclassified felony, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Count 18, felonious assault in violation of 290311A2, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And
I wonder if the ex is there and the daughter. I'm sure they probably are.
count 20, felonious assault in violation of 290311A2, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you entering each of these pleas of your own free will?
Yes.
No one's forced you to enter these pleas at all, correct?
No.
All right. And on behalf of the state, a statement of facts?
Judge, may I?
Yes. Mhm.
Please, court. On or about June 15th, 2023, 1965 Laurel Lindale Road, Claremont County, Ohio. The defendant did purposely and with prior calculation and design cause the death of his three children, Clayton Doerman, age 7, Hunter Doerman, age 4, and Chase Doerman, age 3. On that date, Judge, June 15, 2023, the defendant returned home early from work and had his family, including his wife, Laura Doerman, with him. All three of the boys joined him in the master bedroom for a nap. At some point after lying down with the four of them, the defendant got out of bed, opened a gun safe that was next to the bed, removed a Marlin Model HC-22 rifle from the gun safe and loaded the magazine. The defendant shot his son, Hunter Doerman, twice. While in the bedroom, his wife, Laura, began to render aid to Hunter and yelled for the other children to run. Laura's 14-year-old daughter, Alexis, who had been watching television in the family room, made her way to the master bedroom and witnessed the killing of Hunter. Alexis immediately began to run and indicated that Chasen had fled out the back door. Clayton had fled out the back door, and that Chad Doerman was following Clayton. She ran to help to try to protect Clayton. Anyway, The three of them go out the back door. Clayton's first, then there's the defendant, and then Alexis. Alexis witnesses the defendant chase after Clayton, raised his rifle, fired numerous shots at Clayton as he fled, and saw Clayton fall in the field after he was struck by the gunfire. Alexis then watched as the defendant approached Clayton while he's injured, lying on the ground, defenseless, and saw the defendant put a bullet in Clayton's head, killing him. The defendant, Alexis then, Your Honor, ran back, fled into the residence where she picked up the youngest child, the little 3-year-old boy, chased her. She attempted to flee the residence with Chase to protect him, but the defendant saw her crossing the yard. The defendant gave chase, pointed the rifle directly at Alexis' head, and threatened to shoot Alexis if she did not drop Chase. Alexis put Chase down. He's crying the whole time. The defendant then pointed the firearm at Chase's head, but it just clicked. The magazine was empty. Alexis begged for the defendant not to shoot her. Chase then saw his mother, who had come outside at some point, trying to render aid to Hunter. So Chase runs to his mom. And then there's a very difficult situation that evolved where Laura and the defendant struggled over the weapon. Laura was bitten as she tried to protect Chase from the defendant. The defendant bit her. She put her thumb over the end of the barrel in an effort to stop the bullet. She was shot in the thumb. Ultimately, she had to drop Chase. During this point in time, the defendant was able to reload the firearm. He pointed the gun at Chase's head and executed him, one round to his skull. Alexis, Your Honor, suffered serious physical harm as a result, or psychological harm as a result of being held at gunpoint, forced to surrender Chase to the defendant for his execution, and witnessing her stepfather execute her brothers. Laura suffered serious physical harm, obviously, as she was shot through the thumb. Police arrived. There was really nothing that, despite her desperate fighting to save the lives of her boys, there's nothing Laura Doerman could have done. Police arrived. The defendant surrendered without incident. Acknowledged immediately, he did it, take me to jail. He later gave statements, Your Honor, that he had been thinking about killing his boys since October, that these thoughts of having to kill his sons were weighing so heavily on him that he hadn't slept in a few days. And those are the facts, Your Honor. Those are the facts that led to the death of Clayton Doerman, Hunter Doerman, and Chase Doerman, and the permanent, irreversible injuries to the psyche of Alexis and also Laura. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Myers, any issues with those facts for the purposes of the plea?
Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Doerman, we accept and acknowledge that those are the operative facts that the state would rely upon to carry its burden of proof at trial, and that those facts would have succeeded in carrying the burden of proof at trial had the jury rejected the insanity of the defense. We're pleading guilty today. We're not trying this court to you, much less to anybody just ask this court to bear in mind the three reports from three different psychologists that are before the board and have been for quite a while. And simply add, not to dispute the sequence of the events, the brutality of the events, the horror and the tragedy of the events, but to add that but for some of the mental health issues that Chad had failed to address, he hopes others will not fail if ever they encounter that again. That but for those mental health issues, it seems fair to say certainly 2 out of the 3, if not all 3 of the psychologists would acknowledge the odds of this happening would have been near 0. But I also, by adding those facts, further acknowledge we're withdrawing the insanity defense. We understand the dispute between the experts on that. And Chad stands ready to proceed with this hearing and accept responsibility.
And Mr. Doerman, up to this point in time, once again, have you been able to hear and understand everything I have discussed with you, what your attorneys have stated, what the prosecutors have stated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions, any misunderstandings, any disagreements with anything that's been said this afternoon?
No, Your Honor.
You were able to hear the statement of facts that the prosecutor read regarding the sequence of events as acknowledged by Mr. Myers to be accurate. Do you also believe that those are true?
Do I believe they're true? No.
Okay. You understand that they're accurate, that as
Yes,
your
Your Honor.
counsel has said, that's accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I need to review the guilty plea form with you at this point in time. And again, the guilty plea form sets out the charges that you're in your pleas to. They have counts 18 and 20, felonious assault as a felony of the second degree, has statutory provisions, has possible penalties that are involved for those two, has the aggravated murder counts and counts 1 through 3 with the maximum sentence that penalties that are set forth for those 3 charges as well, potential fines, has the dismissal, if you will, of counts 4 through 9, 10 through 17, 19, and 21. And we're waiving any requirement to regarding Reagan Tokes and any post-release control because that's inapplicable and is a vain act. And it also sets forth the agreed, jointly agreed recommended sentence of life without the possibility of parole as to counts 1, 2, and 3. Each of those sentences to be served consecutively with one another. And also the minimum prison term of 8 years on both counts 18 and 20, accumulated to a total minimum prison term of 16 years with a maximum prison term of 20 years, again subsumed, if you will, by the life without parole as to the first 3 counts. Were you able to review this with Mr. Myers and Mr. Haynes before you signed it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand everything that was written on this document and the consequences of signing it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you sign it of your own free will?
Yes, Your Honor.
It has your signature on the back page. It appears to be in blue ink, but you signed this voluntarily after reviewing it with counsel and understanding the full consequences of signing this guilty plea form.
Yes, Your Honor.
Based upon your answers then, Mr. Doerman, I'll find that your pleas have been entered knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily, that you're guilty of counts 1, 2, and 3, each aggravated murder, unclassified felonies in violation of 290301A, and you're also guilty of felonious assault as alleged in counts 18 and 20, second degree felonies in violation of 290311A2. And before we proceed with sentencing at this point, I'm going to take a short pause. Everybody can stay in place because the 2 victims, Ms. Laura Doerman and Alexis, want to be here. And at this point in time, all cameras down, all any cell phones, any still photos, anything else in the off position. You're not to record either of these 2 women under any circumstances, and video, audio, and Ms. Barron Allen will read.
Oh, yeah, we can.
With my life. And honestly, I looked up to you more than I've elected.
Go ahead, Ms. Barron Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of Alexis, Chad, I trusted you with my life. And honestly, I looked up to you more than anyone. And I always wanted to make sure that I was making you proud for whatever I accomplished in life. But most of all, I saw you as my dad, not just a stepdad. I am the person who I am today because of you. And no matter what anyone says, you raised me well and you gave me an amazing life. And I will forever be grateful for the
This is somebody speaking on behalf of his stepdaughter, I believe.
memories and time you spent.
Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to do this, right? I feel like I'm like a fly on a wall. Like I'm not supposed to be watching this.
With me. Ever since what you've done, my life has been something I would never wish upon any family. It is the most heartbreaking and emotional thing anyone could go through. Chad, I miss you and I miss the boys dearly, and nothing will ever be the same again because of you. Whenever something exciting happens, I always just want to tell you because I know you would be so proud of me. Softball to me isn't the same anymore because that was our sport and that was the boys' sport. You made me an amazing ball player, and whenever I play softball, there isn't one game where I don't think about you. And whenever I get a good hit or I learn a new pitch, I always wish I could tell you because I know you would be so proud of me.
Oh man.
And when good things like that happen, it sucks to look on the sideline and not see you be there, and for the boys not to be cheering me on like they always did. And Chad, I still work very hard on my grades. And I was on the honor roll this past year. And I know for a fact, if you were there to see it, you would be so happy for me because my grades have always been so important to me. Another thing that has impacted me was every single holiday. Waking up on Christmas isn't the same anymore. I don't get excited. I don't even look forward to having presents because it's not the same. I don't get to wake up early and wake the boys up. I don't get to hide the elf. I don't get to do any of the fun stuff anymore because they're gone and you took their lives. And Chad, when you go to bed every single night, I want you to know that when you took those 3 boys' lives away, you took mine and you took my mom's. Chad, I don't think you understand how hard it is to wake up every day and to see my friends and people around me have siblings and to hear them talk about what they did with their siblings that day or how much they enjoy having a brother. Because deep down, that hurts me so badly and so emotionally because it hurts to know I will never get to experience another day with my 3 brothers or to make any memories anymore because their innocent lives were taken away so quickly and horribly by their own father. Their father who they loved unconditionally and who they trusted more than anything. It is so painful to see you here and in jail for the rest of your life, because I have never thought in a million years you would do this to your own children and family. And still to this day, it doesn't feel real to me that they are gone and I will never get them back. But Chad, if I'm being honest, I don't think I will ever be able to hate you. Even in 30 years from now, I will not hate you. Because yes, you did something so horrific and traumatic to those boys. But I will forever hold on to the memories I had with you and the boys, because those are all happy memories. And those were the best times. And you gave me an amazing life, and you were the best dad I could have ever asked for. I could write to you for days, but to end this off, always remember, I will never in a million years ever forgive you for what you have done, and hope you pay for your actions like you deserve. But I will never hate you.
Well, a little too late to put the camera down now.
On behalf of Laura Doerman, Your Honor,
Oh, here we go.
on June 15th, 2023, my life
Get the tissues ready. Oh, man.
was changed forever. My life was ripped away from me and destroyed. Since that day, I have spent every day grieving the loss of my 3 sweet, so very little sons. I grieve the loss of Clayton, Hunter, and Chase every single day, and I grieve the life that they did not get to live. I no longer get to raise them and watch them grow. I miss each one of them so very much. I miss their laughter, silliness, love, and joy for life. Where there used to be so much laughter, happiness, noise of rowdy little boys, there is now silence and emptiness. I would do anything to push them on the swing, cover them up one more time, and hear their little ways of saying, I love you. All of it gone when I should have had so much more life left to live with them. I ask myself how a mother is supposed to carry on a life as a mom with 1 child left here on earth and 3 gone forever. I struggle every day with the will to get up or give up. Life for me is the true pain and suffering. I will never agree to think that any form of punishment could amount to the form of torture and suffering I have to endure each day, such as seeing children and seeing siblings together as I watch Alexis be without her brothers, and seeing families together as I no longer have mine. Having to live a life where I'm visiting the same places I once was with Clayton, Hunter, and Chase all together. Traveling in the car and no longer seeing them in the rearview mirror. This also includes our family home that holds so many memories that I cannot let go of. But now it's just a devastating to face. Again, so empty and quiet. I was injured that day, fighting with every ounce of my body to just make it stop. I struggle every day, knowing I was not successful in doing so. And now I have to live with this and wonder what more I could have done to save them. This tragedy has affected me mentally and physically. I replay the events of that day over and over. I get sick at the thought. Every day I have to learn how to cope and live with the trauma I now have. I have anger, frustration, and so much sadness. I had plans and dreams to watch my small boys grow up and become young men, and to always be there for them as their mom, and to be the best grandma I could be. My husband I trusted with everything made a decision that has left my life forever changed. I lost my husband and my children to this horrible crime. The law will never replace my life and give me back what I have lost. I will hold the life I had and lived so close to my heart forever. Grief will never go away, as it is all the love that is left with no place to go. And my love for Clayton, Hunter, and Chase will never go away. And I will never let them be forgotten. I quote, "When I get to where I'm going, I'll only have happy tears.
Oh no.
Until then, I will live my days with nothing but sadness."
That's such a sad song.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, thank you.
Oh man. What a piece of trash. Yeah, it's not me crying. It's not me. I think it's the lady that's reading it or someone in the gallery. Thanks for checking though. This is hard. This is hard to listen to.
Anything further on behalf of the state?
There.
Mr. Myers in mitigation? Mr. Haynes?
Judge, just briefly, it's an agreed sentence, jointly recommended. We just, with acknowledgement of the pain and the suffering, and the fact that these three beautiful boys are gone, Chad would never have done that, except that he was delusional, he was in psychosis when this happened. All three psychologists basically acknowledge that.
Don't say anything about psychosis because he's not even trying to play that card.
Dr. Dreyer acknowledged it. They don't agree on whether it qualifies.
I don't know if he was military, but I swear to y'all, if they say something about military, I'm gonna kick this microphone stand.
As long enough for serious mental illness, or whether he had some appreciation of the legal wrongfulness of what he did. But the fact is, he loved those boys more than anything. And
Yeah,
he was
I beg to differ.
sick, profoundly sick at the time. There's nothing more he can say at this point except that he's sorry about that. He did it. He acknowledges that. He's taken responsibility for it. He can't bring those boys back and do anything to do it. I think he would wish that he stayed at the little clinic for a little longer than he did. I think he wished that in hindsight he put signs there before this happened. Tried to power through it. He wouldn't do that again.
He can't even talk for himself.
Till it was too late. He couldn't. He was out of
Let him talk.
control.
Anything further on
Sorry
behalf?
for that. No.
Mr. Doerman, is there anything you want to say on your own behalf before I impose sentence?
Oh, what a coward. How about a simple, I'm sorry. That's it. That's all I had. 2 words. Didn't have to go into detail. But nothing. You have nothing to say?
Well, there's nothing that I can add to the most compelling statements of
Cop's already standing up. He's ready to get the cuffs on him.
Alexis and Laura Doerman. Those were 2 of the most compelling statements I've ever heard. With that said, Mr. Doerman, as to count 1, I'll impose a prison sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. No fine will be imposed. As count 2, it'll be a life prison term without the chance of parole. And count 3, it'll be life in prison without the possibility of parole. These 3 counts and these 3 sentences will be served consecutively with one another. As to count 18, it'll be an 8-year minimum sentence. As to count 20, it'll be an 8-year minimum sentence. They will be served consecutively with one another for a total of 16 years as a minimum sentence. The maximum sentence would be 20 years. So the total sentence on those 2 are 16 to 20 years. They're served consecutively with the sentences in counts 1, 2, and 3. All aggravated circumstances have already been dismissed. Firearm specifications will be dismissed. You will forfeit the firearm that was used in this case. It will be forfeited to the sheriff's office for destruction, and it must be destroyed. There is no appeal for this sentence, so you will serve the rest of your life in prison. We'll order judgment for court costs. You have been held in the county jail since June 15th, so there's 415 days that you've served in jail up to this point in time. That will be credited towards the life without parole. There's no restitution and no fines will be imposed. Anything further on behalf of the state, Mr. Colby?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Myers, Mr. Haynes, anything further?
No, thank you.
Covered everything satisfactorily?
I believe so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Will be committed to the sheriff. Bond obviously will be revoked, subject, well, there was no bond anyway, but be committed to the county jail for conveyance to the state criminal system.
That's the last time he'll be wearing street clothes. Wow. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that, you know. I don't know if there's any DV on like charges on them. I didn't hear anything about that, and we were pretty into this case. Like, you know, I was actually expected to go to opening statements. If I would have known that this hearing was going on, I would have been there. But it was a stupid surprise hearing. And so I wouldn't have made it. I don't think I would have made it at the time. Plus, I'm wearing like sweatpants, short type things, and a t-shirt. They would be like, "You're not coming into the courthouse like that." So, but oh my gosh, so yeah, he pled out. He's a coward. He's a coward. He wasn't cuffed. Nope, just walking through. That's Ohio for you, I guess. Our court systems are a hit or miss here, but I did like that I like the judge in this case. I thought that he was like just trying to get the crap over with. I'm wondering what made him plead out too, because the confession was thrown out. So, I mean, but they still had the body cam. They still had all that. I think he pled out so that he didn't have to get the DP. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, I actually look like I usually look. I just have a hair clip in my hair. I wonder what made him plead out too. It is better than a trial. Yeah, you don't want the victims to go back through all of that. Plus, they would have shown pictures, exhibits would have been held. Yeah, I think that's a good thing that he did that he did plead out. You know, that's like good for, you know, his ex and her daughter. The statements were really sad. They're that really sad. I can't believe this case is kind of like over. Like, I was literally going to go over some stuff with you guys in a couple of days about this case. Like, Law and Crime came out with a new video, and I was like, oh, I'll do that like in the beginning, like, you know, like the end of the week. And then he decided to do this. So I wonder if Nancy will come out with an episode about it or anything. And oh, man, I hate when cases like I like when cases end, but when they do, it feels like I've hit like a brick wall, you know, because you're like, well, what do I do? You know, what do I like look for now? Exactly. Yeah, Andy, it does save the state money. We need to save money over here. Oh, Solo, I was thinking about your daughter and the baby today. I hope they're doing well. Oh, beautiful family. How old is your daughter? She looks so young. She looks so young. Like she has to be in her 20s. Today's the last time we're going to hear of Chad, the bitch Doerman. Yeah. Yeah, 25 years we heard. So I think he will probably be in protective custody for a certain amount of time. But I mean, they're going to have to they're going to have to put him in Gen Pop eventually. I mean, he's in there for life, you know? She's 27. She looks younger than that. I wish I was 27 again. No, I don't. I lied. I don't want to be 27 again. But I'm going to jump off here. I think tonight we're going to do Delphi. There's some new stuff. There's so much stuff in the Delphi case. We stopped kind of covering it because everything was getting crazy and all this paperwork was coming out and I could not keep track of it. I'm telling y'all the truth. I'm like, I did not know which way was up when it came to that case. So I saw that Nancy Grace did an episode and she went through like the documents and everything. So I figured we'd hear her side. And then we Law and Crime or Court TV, one of the two, I think it was Court TV, they came out with an episode. And so I thought maybe we could watch those and kind of just see what's going on in the Delphi case because they did have some court hearings the last few days. Now they won't it won't be televised or whatever. I hate that. I hate that so much, but I can keep us up to date with, different news articles and people that are in the courthouse. So, oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Oh, have a good day, Ashley. Yeah, and it's Friday, TGIF. And Vincent just came home. What time is it? 4:55. I swear, he's sneaking in. He's sneaking in different times on me here. Yesterday he called me and I was taking a nap. I was I was getting ready to take a nap. And I'm like, dang it. Dang it, what are you doing here? I was gonna take a nap. But he like not like he would care if I took a nap, but I always feel like I gotta be moving and grooving. I'm just one of those people. But thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you for being here, Isabel. It was good to see you. Thanks, Jan, for being the best mod and Isabel being the best mod on YouTube. I got the best mods and the best crowd. But thank you guys all for being here. I really do appreciate it. If you guys don't mind just taking a second, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon for all alerts. That way you can get alerted to any of the videos, because we do go live here daily. So I'll see you guys all this evening around 9:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you guys have a great Friday. Bye, guys.